defeat and victory is a mixture of what you do, especially in leadership. Now, thinking of a specific person about this, well, we have Mayor Bing.
The following joined DNX in its second anniversary celebration. Negros Occidental Governor Eugenio Jose Lexon, Negros Occidental Vice Governor Jeffrey Ferrer, Bacolod City Mayor Evelio Leonardia, Bacolod City Vice Mayor Elcid Familiaran, Bacolod Congressman Greg Gasataya, and Grace Pharmacy.
Attorney Joselito Bayatan is with us today, and Attorney, thank you for dropping by.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Sir Julius, and good afternoon to our listeners.
Sir, let's talk about change. The excitement about change is being felt right now on social media. Of course, partisans ang excited about change. No? But you, as a city legal officer, as an appointive official, how do you feel about this?
Well, change is a part of life. And change is always there in whatever aspect of what you do every day. So, while in the government, there is a change in the government. And in the minuscule measure in the city of Bacolod, we always experience change. Because change is a constant happening. We never progress, we never develop, unless there is a change. Well, the question there is how to manage it. And if you ask me, belonging to the Bing Leonardia administration, he manages well change. And it's always about performance.
And I don't know if you have noticed, sir, normally, mag-amuni, it seems nga daw ka-dichotomized, ka-polarized sang paggamit sang tinaga. No? Nga, if you are an incumbent official, it seems as if nga you don't have the right to use the word change. But if you are someone aspiring for a position, ang ikaw lang yung pwede magagamit sang tinaga nga ina.
Kay kung ikaw na yung gaubra, may ginakambyo ka, para ma-improbar mo ang isa kabutang, hindi mo na pagdapat painit lang. Kay ang change is an action word eh. So, kung nagakambyo ka, kay gina-improbar mo ang isa kabutang, like sa ginaobra ni Mayor Bing, hindi mo naman na dapat iwaragwag pa. Now, coming to the view of politics, we are reminded of the word of Niccolo Machiavelli. Nagambal siya na everyone knows how you appear or by your appearance. But only few know what you are. So, ang boching yanon nga mas makilala ka sa tao sa imo performance. In politics, makilala ka sa impresyon. Manggaranon ka, bilyonaryo ka. Or halika sa middle class. But the end of the line, to measure the person, is always how he performed. Now, kung mag-abot ang sa picture sa politika, hapos na ihambalon ang tanan. Agway kada padaog kung imo na i-entertain na ron. Kay kung incumbent ka, maghambal ka nga, amo na ni ang naubra ko, simple na naisabat nila sa imo. Hambalong ka nila, obligasyon mo na mo. O, ginbuto ka para obrahon mo na. Kung contender ka, hapos mo na sa contender, kaya nga, I will just look for the defect. I will be a perfectionist. Manghikay lang ko nga manghikay. Bayan ko da iyang naobra mo. So, everything comes so easy, especially subong nga na-facilitate pa sa mga blog, social media, trolls, nga kung imo na tanawon, ang gubanay grabe, no? So, ang dapat na gurong himuon is just continue the performance. Kay kung tanawon ta naman sa tunos ang politika, Mayor Bing has proven his worth. No? Personal, he came from a middle-class family. He started not even as a public servant. No? He was an ordinary rank-and-file employee from the bank, then became a middle officer in the Department of Tourism. And then, he engaged in politics since 1988. And ever since, he was there. And tanawabla ang nadulot sa Bacolod. Kung tanawon mo ang City Hall, siya na nagpatukod sa government center. Imagine mo kung wala subong ang government center, ang population subong nga nagakadto sa City Hall adlaw-adlaw. Ano yan ang ginutok ta sa downtown? Ang relocation site, no? He was able to put up one of the biggest relocation sites of Philippines, no? Nadugangan sang araw. Now, para na sa mga informal settlers ta. Ang sanitary landfill ta, no? Nga nakita naton dira sa kung aton tan-on diin diri iban nga mga LGUs na may sanitary landfill. Bacolod is proud to have one, no? And then gina-manage nga makita lang naton nga hindi kita magproblema sa sanitation ta. And all of these things, ang tanan ini hindi ni hapos. Kay every step of the way, ginkasuhan ini siya sa ombudsman, sa COA, kag even sa aton nga civil courts. Why is it so? Ang question is nga, may pagkambyo mo, may hinimuan, may mihura, may pagkambyo. There are always those na ang pagtanaw yaya sang perspective, sang change, hindi mayo. So malisyahan niya. Hambalo niya may corruption da, may graft da. No? Especially kung these are big projects. So, dalon sa ombudsman, dalon sa COA, dalon sa civil courts. But, well, because you cannot put a good man down, kay mayong intensyones, mayo ang performance, nagkaka-dismiss ang kaso. Now, that is part of the change. Ang question is, base kay Mayor Bing lang na, the answer is no. In anything that involves structural management, you have to change the structure, especially you're going to improve it, strengthen it, and make it as a foundation for future leaders. There are always two things that are involved there. Na hindi mo na maiskaparan. It's always about risk, ang risgo, and the resources. Diin mo kwaon ang imo sidara nga igiho. In other words, if you don't have the resources, you will never have the logistics to do it. Now, natilawan ni tanan ni Mayor Bing. Ang risgo, ginkasuan siya. Resources, ginapasibangdan siya nga damo utang ang Bacolod City. But look, diin ni nagkalad to. Makita ni siyang tao. No? Makita siyang tao. Ara da ang aton nga relocation site. Ara dira ang aton government center. Now we are seeing the construction of the Coliseum. Now, in a while, we will be having the hospital. Kadamo sa mga pagkambyo. So, the danger, according to many leaders, is that when there is change, people will turn the blind eye. Mapabulag-bulag sila. And that is the time when illusion comes in. No? Da na masulod ang illusionary mind sa mga tao. Kaya hindi gina siya magpati sa imo. No? Da na masulod ang iya malisya, ang iya pato-pato, ang iya pagpanghikay, kay bulag saya mo. So, para sa aton, kag para sa amon din nga nagabulig sa administration ni Mayor Bing, that is not important. That is not significant. The important thing is we are moving forward and there is change.
And that is a very interesting point that you made. Change is an action word.
Yes.
It is a dynamic concept.
Yes.
Because as I have said, Kaina, there seems to be a polarized view of change. Nga kung challenger ka, it is only you who can use that word. Nga ikaw lang maka-introduce ng pagbago. But if you are a sitting official, you become static. Nga wala ka na sa may introduce ng pagbago. But you pointed out nga may ara. But then again, it does not become change anymore to some people because as you have pointed out, basta obligasyon mo.
Correct.
Obligasyon mo. But that is actually change implemented already. But I don't want to run the risk of being abstract sa aton nga discussion. Can you cite over an 18-year period nga pagpungko ni Mayor Bing as mayor, anong specific nga mga pagkambyo nga naubra sa syudad?
As a background, I knew Mayor Bing. He is an action man. And I was then an ordinary civilian. Not until I joined him in 2009, and I got a feel on how this man worked. No? He will let you work even in the wee hours in the morning. Especially kung excited siya sa mga ulubrahon niya. Ginadalian niya. This is not to flatter Mayor Bing, or this is not to exaggerate things. And I can name people who share the same experience. We go home even up to 6 o'clock in the early morning. And we've been working all night long with him. Amo na siya mag-ubra. Now, this is a mark of not only an industrious man. This is, well, I could say he is a man with determination and committed to what he wants things to be done. Kung maghambal kita, ano ang concrete nga mga ulubrahon? Ang makita lang sang mata no? Na makita naton ang government center, makita naton ang relocation site, makita naton ang expansion sang roads and the expansion of bridges. Makita na all around, no? Ang mga projects sinada nga mapauntat naton ang problema sa baha. Ang ako niya paglantaw, on what particular matter na importante ang change. Mm-hmm. I think it's not only an action word, it must be in the character. Ara sa nature ni Mayor Bing really to work for a change. Nya kung gusto siya may kambyuhan kag obrahon, ginadidikaran niya kag paobraya kag upod siya sa amon obra.
The following joined DNX in its second anniversary celebration. Former 3rd District Congressman ALBEE Benitez, Councilor Al Victor Espino, Councilor Wilson Jun Gamboa Jr., Abang Lingkod Congressman Stephen Paduano, and Mr. Ricardo Canotan.
But then again, ang tragedy for a public official or in government service is the fact that good intentions cannot be your defense. And you cannot be judged by good intentions because may ara sang mga supposedly measurable indicators or measurable aspects nga nag-grow ikaw, no? Let's say, economy for one, public service, social services, and what have you. Subong ang indicator is the HDI, the Human Development Index. Although we have to go into the deeper details later on, or at least kami diri sa DNX. But let's talk about those things. Economy. Over 18 years, ano ang ginkambyo sa ekonomiya ka Bacolod?
Bacolod is basically affected by the circumstance that we are in a monocrop province. So, sugar industry lang gid ang nagahatag sa aton sang suportar sa aton nga economy. And then, of course, the economy functions well in the matter of the purchasing power of the consumers, di ba? Spending naton sa aton nga population. Kung mag-weak ang sugar industry, it will also somehow affect the urban population. But now, things are changing. No?
How so?
We have more workers now that are well educated. That is also one of the thrust of Mayor Bing. Din-support niya ang Bacolod City College. Even before na wala pa siyang free tuition, no, wala pa siyang law nga free tuition on all government, state, universities, and colleges. Gin-sustain niya lang na ang 33 pesos per unit nga tuition, while other colleges were already charging at the rate of 400 to 700 plus per unit. Now, because he believes that human capital is the best capital. Kung he believes na kung mapa-eskwela lang da ang isa sa pamilya, by Filipino culture, pa-eskwelahon niya man ang mga manghodya. Down the line, maamo na ang chain reaction. Isn't that a good way of looking change? Well, that is on the human capital. Now, we see it all around us. Nga kadamo kita call centers. Because it's not only of the investors coming in, it's because we have a big potentials of well-educated population.
The workforce was
The
prepared.
workforce was prepared, correct. Now, nagsinulod ding malls. One of that is, why labot na ang call centers nga nag-proliferate because of the human capital. Damo kita sa population nga nagkalad man abroad, no? Kag nag-invest dito sa ilang potentials, kag nag-support di sa ilang family. That is the thing that we cannot deny. Filipinos are good workers, and they are welcome as migrant workers in other countries. And when we say, tani, diri na sila, yes, it's true. But there are businesses na kinanlan sila. But what is the natural characteristics of the Filipino talent is really to be a good worker. And kita naton dalon sila bisan diin Middle East, Western countries, paborito sila. Kay mayo sila magulubra. Kag makapadala sila diri sa aton nga makasuportar sa aton ekonomiya kag sa ilang pamilya. Now that is the reason why they are also engine of economic growth. So nagsinulod ding malls ta because they have a market for that. May market sila sa consumers. Now, those are the concrete things. But, how can this be very possible? Masuportar man na di ang gobyerno. How can the government support? Now, we have there the BCC, the colleges. We have to develop the roads going to the barangay para easy access sang mga tao magkadto diri sa Bacolod City. We should put up the connecting roads. We have to support the human development of informal settlers. Tagdaan ta sila sa decent homes. Nga kung mayo ang ilang ginawi sa ilang panimalay, madula, may ibanan ang social pressure, then somehow makakonsentrate sa mayo nga pagpangabuhi ang mga tao, no? Tag matagaan Manila sa mayo nga atmosphere ng ila kabataan. No, these are the things that are happening. Ang big questions again is, ano pa nga pagkambyo? We have the will. What is there to reinvent? Amo ina ang isa dara kadako nga pamangkot. And that is why if we are on the other camp, it's easy to say nga amo ni mo ko amo ni, pero kung ato na analisahon ara na siya da. No, ara na siya. Ganagalain lang kay lain naman nga tao ang gahambal.
I had Mr. Rodel Parcon diri nagligad niya si Mana, and one of the things nga gin-mention niya, in fact, it was the overarching theme sa amon nga interview, is that si Mayor Bing had vision when he was young, when he was new to his position. But sang ulihi, ang public service was or became secondary to politics. Would you care to comment about that? Kiti, do halos dungan ka mo ni.
Ang ako lang mahambal sina is, he said that Mayor Bing is a good man. He studied this man, and he said everything was good. Now, what I can say is, if Mayor Bing is a good man, and he studied him as a good leader, he can never have a bad government. A good man can never have a bad government. So, well, makita naton kung maayo si Mayor Bing tao, maayo siya nga leader. Hindi malain na yung gobyerno. Why? Because as we said, the characteristic of a good man is embedded in his leadership. And makita na sa iyang mga followers, di ba? And then from there, everything follows. No, nothing bad will come out from what is good. So, kung ang isa ko da nga i-react is, Mr. Parcon said na there are two groups daw eh. The political group and the career. Now, the fact nga he was a executive assistant, he is an appointed employee coming from the trust and confidence of the mayor, a personal choice at that. Then he belongs to the political group. Kaya he works at the pleasure of the mayor. Kung termino siya, pag end sang term sang mayor, end man siya. Then he is a political being there. Now, how could he say nga dili siya sa piyak kay technocrat siya? Ang mahambal ko nga everybody is a technocrat. Kung nag-oobra ka sa kaayuhan sang syudad, then you are there as a technocrat. Kung nagambal ka nga political being kada kay gin-appoint ka sa mayor, I would say nga if you work for what is good for the city, for the benefit of the people, then you are a political being. A good one. Kung nagambal siya nga ang duwa, may pihak, political kag career. Ang question is, in day one, kung ginpasulod mo na sa ulo mo, nga may political kag kwan, nag-create ka na gali division sa mind mo. May personal bias ka na nga ginubra. And then you will only conclude nga kung ang imo idea, wala naging tsakto, you immediately shift nga na overpower ka sa political group while you are a career technocrat. Then how can you be a team worker? Work is always a team. Work is always collective. Collective effort. It's always a teamwork. And nobody has the monopoly of it. At the end of the day, it's the mayor that will decide. Kung biskan pulo kamuda, ang siya mag-recommend mo ni ang isaya lain na recommendation niya. Nobody can say kay majority kamo amo ng desisyon sa ang mayor. Why? Sa katapusan, siya mapirma sang papilis, siya maatubang sa pamuluyo, siya ma-explicar. Iyan iya call. It's his judgment call. All you have to do is still support him. Biskan ang desisyon lain sang sa imo, ang desisyon sang mayor is lain man, kag amo to yang gin-implementar yang iya sang iban, you should be there still to defend him and never criticize him. Nga, what is your right to do that? Iyan iya desisyon, kay iyan na prerogative as a mayor. Iyan na iya political call. Oh, bisa maghambal ka pa nga technocrat ka, ano pa da ihambal mo, hindi na iya imuubra.
I'd like to go back to your point nga it is difficult if you are a sitting official because again, ang point of view sang tao nga wala ka maging kambyo mo. Because what you are doing is becomes routinary.
Yes.
It's expected of you. But if you are a challenger, all you have to do is sound perfect.
Yes.
I find that very interesting. Nga.
Well, it's just like watching a contender and the defending champion in a boxing match. Ba? May isa ka di ka champion, defending champion, may challenger. May mga pre-fight interview na sila. Ba? So, what will the contender usually do? Ang weakness ng kontraya, di ba? Oh, so, the classic example there is the pre-fight interview of Manny Pacquiao and Thurman. Oh, grabe ang hikay niya. Tigulang na, hinay na, do kadamo lang. So, give it to him. But the point there is, ang ara na daan, may performance na siya. No? Hindi ka maghambal nga much better ka sang sa iya.
Unless you...
Yes, unless you are in his shoes.
Or unless the fight has begun.
Yes, until and unless the fight has begun. But, you know, he is wearing a different shoes. You have your own different shoe. So, you cannot say nga you are better than the other.
Aribe, sir. Do kalaw, ay man example, no? Naluyag ka karon sa asawa sang tupad balay mo.
Yes.
Ti, ang imo ya pangitaon mo sala ka bana. Do mo na.
Well, it's just like a story nga ang tao gapangita siya sang perfect wife. La. So hasta may nakita siya. Ginbasted man sa gyapon kay nga ato naman yung babae nga nakita gapangita magali perfect husband. Ti hindi siya yung perfect husband nga nakita nga ginapangita man sa babae. So it's just like that. You know, life is a matter of accepting where you are and what the other person is doing.
But can you fault people if they want to look for a better leader?
Looking for, I reserve my definition for a better leader. Well, bad leader needs the community with a bad leader or a country with a bad leader needs a good leader. But a good leader that we have, maybe we could say, let him perform. If we see what is there to change, do not interrupt him. Let him continue. Because it is for the betterment of the people to the best that he can do. So, ako niya, or kung tanawon ta in a common ground, kung ginaubraya ang insakto, gaobra siyang may pagkambyo, gaupod siya sa trend sang development, hindi kaya maghambal nga mas mayo ka sang sa iya. Because you are not in a situation. Hindi ka man maghambal nga mas nami ang formula mo. Kaya nga, may formula mo siya nga iya. No? So, maybe by the time nga ang formula mo nga nalantaw mo nga i-implement mo, time has changed. Hindi na siya workable. Because change is an ever-changing change. As you said, Sir Julius, it's dynamic.
It can never be claimed by any one person.
Yes, it can never be. Lo, kung atong tanawon, no, I'm fond of history. Si pagkapatay ni Delano Roosevelt, FDR, Vice President si Truman, Harry Truman. Now, he comes from a humble beginning. I think he comes from a family of tailor, pang dressmaking lang, no? And then, kadamo siya sang implement. He even signed the dropping of the atomic bomb.
Sa Hiroshima.
Hiroshima. Very radical. Very, many things. Kag in that decades that passed, wala believe sa iya. But as we go into the early 21st century, looking back to this man, he was there making the right decision and adapting to the right change at the time of his presidency. So, ang lesson dira is, who are we to say nga mas dami ta sa iya? No. Kung ang incumbent leader ta gaobra sang insakto kag maayo, then let it be.
It has nothing to do with this discussion, no? Pero as a concept, I find that interesting. It is easier to second guess mo.
Yes.
And as they say, if you have the benefit of hindsight, it's a different thing. But if you are in the moment, you don't have the benefit of hindsight. Daw ka interesting a concept na.
Well, what I can say is there is another Roosevelt, no? Theodore Roosevelt. He made that poem of The Man in the Arena. Diba?
Tell us about that.
The Man in the Arena, well, I like it. I really like that poem that I have it framed in my office. So, nagambal siyang ang man in the arena, siya, hindi na yang nag-cheer nga bystander lang. No? But it belongs sa tao nga ara to sa arena nga nag-aaway. Blooded ang face. Matumba siya, mabangon liwat yung magbato. No? Ini siya much better sang sa mga bystander nga in the end, he neither knows what is victory nor defeat.
Mm-hmm.
So, para sa aton, it's a challenge how you face the hardships on what you do. You fall, you rise, but you keep on fighting because along the way you have a taste of what is defeat, and you also have the courage to enjoy what is victory. Defeat and victory is a mixture of what you do, especially in leadership. Now, thinking of a specific person about this, well, we have Mayor Bing. Kaagi pirdi, kaagi daog. Sa pagdaog niya, taking into reflection, ano ang maayo nga maubra? Well, so makita naton kung anong pag-uswag sa Bacolod City.
Mm-hmm. I hope to have you here some other time in less politically controversial times, and let's talk about a lot of things. No? We can talk about history and what have you pa. But in the meantime, on that note, Attorney Jojo Bayatan, sir, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Pagsama tigpalamati, damo gid niya salamat.
The following joined DNX in its second anniversary celebration. Chong Tapsilogan and Sizzlers, Bread Bite Bake Shop, Ting Ting Dnx Native Food, ISK Tech, Country Homes, and Mr. Vladi Gonzales.